Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. This is the Silverlight Super Bowl halftime show review. Little something we do every year. We've been doing it since the late great Gary Bell stopped doing it because someone had to keep the tradition going. This is a deep dive into the symbolism, the archetypes, the very ideas that shaped the Super Bowl halftime show. Come along with us. I'm sure you'll learn a little something. Here at the Silverlight Show, to be 100% honest, don't really listen to modern music. Not because it's terrible, not because it sucks. Not really my taste level. I'm not going to complain if you put it on the radio, but at the same token, I'm not going to go out of my way to find the latest Kendrick Lamar song. But I'd never listened to his stuff before. And I pride myself on being an open-minded individual. And I was treated with what I believe was the worst halftime show in my lifetime. Now, this wasn't the worst halftime show because of the music, although I didn't like Kendrick Lamar's particular brand of R&B, and I don't understand why they call that R&B. R&B is rhythm and blues. Rap isn't in there, but somewhere in the 80s and 90s they decided to shove rap under that label, and we lost a number of beautiful artists who were actually singing R&B. Boys to Men, for example. Seal hasn't really come out and done anything in a very long time. And instead, you have these auto-tuned gentlemen, mostly women get involved in it too, but it's mostly men talking about how they have the best cars, how they make a lot of money, and that sort of thing. That music doesn't appeal. It's pirate music. Hey, we got a big ship. We got a lot of cannons. Hey, I got the gat at my side. I got a Mercedes in the driveway. It's pretty much identical to pirate music. But while I don't like Kendrick Lamar personally, again, I wouldn't turn him off, but I'm not seeking him out. That style of music is obviously very popular. I mean, I can't sell however many millions of records he had, no matter how hard I tried. So, yeah, I'm not trying to knock him and his fame, and I'm not trying to knock people's tastes. Your tastes are purely personal, and I respect you for whatever your taste might be. That being said, the music, usually I can follow along with the music. I like watching the Bayou Bowl, which is LSU and Grambling. LSU and Grambling put on a traditional marching band, but their performance will blow your mind. It's nothing like we think of where everybody's in rigid ranks and stuff. No, these people will be marching a perfect line breakdown, literally start dancing with like a tuba, and then go back to making those beautiful perfect line formations we're used to up here. We didn't get that. We got one of the poorest uses of space I have ever seen. Everything felt claustrophobic, like they're trying to hem you in. They've got 100-yard long wide field, and 100 yard long in length field. I think it's about 50 yards wide, somewhere in there. And what we got was zooming into blocks, zooming in here, zooming into that, which is fine, but I've also spent a lot of time at stadiums. You know something about stadiums? If you're on the 100 of the first level, bronze, depending on what your team qualifies its different seat as, you're not seeing any of this show. You might see some flashes of red and black. You might see the ear of Kendrick Lamar, but you're just simply not seeing this show and paying all that money for a Super Bowl ticket on the front rows. It would suck. I think from the 500s it would be okay, but it'd be pretty far away. And if you got a luxury box, you might as well be watching it on TV. Not the game, the halftime show. So, and it seems to me making use of set pieces, which makes my job easier, but didn't do such a good job on the audience. I didn't listen in for the crowd sweetening because after I watched it one time, I normally try to do research and watch it a couple times to see what I missed, but honestly, I'm doing this out of love and respect for Gary Bell, out of love and respect for the audience, but I couldn't torture myself that much. So we start off, they show kind of a lit tic-tac-toe in white. It's like a box and they're putting there's an X, an O, and yeah, that's how I'm going to describe it. And in the middle is some sort of, I think it was a pickup truck or kind of thing. It's not well lit at all. The front is, and that's where Kendrick Lamar is. That's where your spotlight should be. But this idea of pulling the red, white, and blue singers out of the car, what does that remind you of? A clown car. I don't know whether Kendrick authorized this or somebody didn't like him, but they literally said, oh, you're going to sit on the hood of a clown car and your dancers are going to get behind you. And they were pure dancers. I was watching very carefully to see if any of them were moving their lips. Is this just to provide him with the backup he's used to? And nothing was happening. So anyways, they form out of the clown car and they set themselves up in basically a copy of the US flag. Now, I don't hate this choreography. It's base level. I imagine, there's high school teachers out there, even middle school teachers that have done almost the same thing. But that's when the situation changes. See, there's something particular that I didn't actually notice at first because of the dark lighting. But later on, usually at the 7-minute mark or so, they bring other people in. When they lit it out, I noticed it wasn't a pure white, it wasn't a pure blue, and it wasn't a pure red. As a matter of fact, it was almost a purple, and purple is the color of royalty. And the red, it was either a wine red, which is sometimes known as a blood red. That's right, royalty and blood. Now, theoretically, the United States is not supposed to have royalty. But many people have identified certain families as being the royalty of the United States. For a long time, the Kennedy clan was, hailed as the royalty of the United States. I think they're doing this to try to say the current president's clan is going to be royalty. And along with blood, well, he's threatening to take over Gaza. He's threatening to take over to Canada, all these sorts of places. Maybe that's the blood being foreshadowed. And where did the blood come from? A clown car. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Always the way it is. They set diametric opposites up so that they can fight each other and then they control from the top. There was the one interesting piece of choreography where Kendrick Lamar runs away from his flag singers all the way down the field. and then runs into a second bunch. I don't know if they're the same bunch and moved down there. The camera angle did not show me exactly, but it shows him running into a second bunch of flag singers. At first, I kind of brushed this off, again, crappy choreography, and it's basic stuff. Again, nothing a high school teacher couldn't have done for them. But then I realized it's a double entendre. It's actually a triple entendre. 3 meanings. The first meaning is what you see. It's him running around, and it's never one meaning. The second meaning, I forget which NFL broadcaster, and he's passed away now, used to say when they broke a touchdown, he would yell, "He's running coast to coast." And that's what they're showing Kendrick Marshall doing, running coast to coast. And what does he meet? At both sides of the aisle, the political aisle. Wherever he goes, he's trapped by the same people. Now that I don't know how intentional it was, but it really accomplished the job. Wherever you go, you're surrounded by people. In the present day and age, that's the truth. If I go down to New York City and just shout out the president's name, some people are going to come along and say, hell yeah, and some people are going to come around, hell no, and they're going to argue around me. So it was showing how you are trapped between the two political parties, and no matter what you're doing, that narrative is never going to go away. They then did what I think was one of the most visually boring scenes that they could have. All the white singers join Kendrick Lamar underneath that lamppost, or lamppost looking set. And I was actually intrigued by this one because there was what looked to be a person hanging up above them. And maybe that's just a sculpture, I don't know. But like, this has a lot of potential. It's a boring scene, like I said before. It's just Kendrick with his microphone. Although, honestly, I'm pretty sure it was crowd dubbed, or not crowd dubbed, but they recorded it in advance and replayed it. And I don't care about that. It would be hard to balance that soundstage. It's his presentation. There's going to be zero backup from me. The fact that he wanted to give a better show to the people. I'm never going to complain, no matter what the show is. Back to the early 2000s, I've said the exact same thing. Please use, a pre-recorded soundtrack. It's not bothering anybody. And it, in fact, is the exact thing you should be doing in a stadium that size. So they're under the lamppost. And again, it's another claustrophobic scene. You have the whole field, the whole stadium. You can go out in the street if you want. But no. They put them all under this single lamppost. And like I said, I was watching the backup people, and they weren't even pretending to sing along. Not from what I saw. They were just sitting there while Kendrick Lamar does his thing. And there's too many people sitting there for zero action. Like, you're just using humans as building blocks. It's kind of showing that the star gets the treatment and everybody else is background. You are not even allowed to accompany the star on his journey. You just have to put up, shut up, and know your role. Then, more running. Running really is a theme to this halftime show. We run here, we run there, and it's not a rhythmic gliding dance like, I know Janet Jackson is banned from this and every other Super Bowl, but at least hire her choreographer and something. But they go into, what would I call it? It's 5 squares put together in like a little cross formation. And they put the camera inside. And this is, remember, the outside crowd cannot see this. It's too small. Unless they brought binoculars or something like that, which traditionally Super Bowl, again, there's teams in Louisiana that do this every year and do it better. And we can't match university teams. But then they come into that and they show you the camera with, of course, Kendrick Lamar. Although sometimes they're just showing his dancers. Although I think they were the white dancers as well. And what they're trying to evoke is that Squid Games idea, where you're locked into an area, there's all these people, you're feeling claustrophobic again. By using that, what were the Squid Games about? Getting money, food for your family. And again, I didn't hate myself enough to want to go back and watch and listen to the song and see what it said, so I'm going off purely visuals. And then, when they showed this cross from up above, I realized they were 4 boxes away from that cross being a swastika. Go back and look at it. Turn the sound down. And you'll see when they put the camera up, they don't put it directly over top of one angle or another so that way you can see it's a cross. They pull it offside so it's perfectly rotated just like the swastika. Yeah, 80 years we're still messing around with this stupid symbol. And all these box-in shots, again, looks terrible. Look at the number of people inside what I'm calling the box, because I don't want to call it a half swastika, really. Imagine that. You come to the stadium, you spend what, $8,500 for the cheapest ticket, and everybody's in this little box thing. What are you paying to see? Well, I know you're paying to see the football game, but then you know what happens? You know what happens next? They go walking again. They go walking. This is where the lights come up. This is usually where the halftime show gets better. They've gotten to a pattern for the last while where the first bit is slower stuff and they get into more upbeat stuff. Now, whoever the singer that they had there was, the lady dressed in blood red, she was incredible. I was actually thinking Kendrick Lamar was ruining her performance. I would have gladly watched a halftime with her in it, and I unfortunately don't know the lady's name. Again, please feel free to watch the halftime show and put your opinion down at the bottom on who she is, because yeah, I think I could stand to listen to her for a little while. But after that, we go back to walking in circles. Now again, choreography, teaching people to walk in circles is not complicated. Why is this choreography so simple when before they've always had such amazing stuff? But the walking in circles within circles, circles within circles, divine mystery, all that sort of thing, we start getting a very unusual dance move. At first I thought it was just them bowing like one person would bow, then the person behind them would bow, the person behind them would bow. They do that all around the circle. I'm not a dancer, but I know that takes energy and concentration to do it. But that's when I realized there were 2 parts to this move. They would bow, and then afterwards they would raise their hands. This is a sacred symbol. The bowing, of course, refers to you showing obeisance towards your king, your ruler, who the ruler at present, arguably, is still the guy in the White House, or possibly the kingdom of the United Kingdom. Either way, it's the raising. Now, I have to be careful what I say here, because I know there's a whole level to the way that they're raising their hands. And the rhythm, specifically the way they were going, bow up, bow, middle, raise, bow, middle, raise. That is used by secret societies. And I'm trying to figure out what I can and cannot say because some of these secret societies are not on our side. But just realize that it's, I'm just going to say realize it is a symbol. Now this is where Samuel L. Jackson, I should have raised him earlier because he did kick off the show. Samuel L. Jackson tells them to give them what America wants. This is Samuel L. Jackson. You don't generally mess with Samuel L. Jackson, and the funny thing is, the first person to respond is the singer. She starts a little melody, and then Kendrick Lamar comes in afterwards. So she was what America wanted. Young, pretty lady, beautiful voice, etc. That could very much be what was wanted. I mean, I was certainly relieved to have her come back. I was worried that she was only on for a couple seconds. But it took Samuel L. Jackson to give us what we wanted. It was the most pleasurable point I felt during the entire event. And then it's back again, the full light we can see, the purples and reds, and now the blood red is interesting. Again, somebody out there, and I don't know who the choreographer for the Super Bowl is, they got paid a lot of money to put that together. I mean, a good choreographer, what's her name? Mariah Carey? It might not be her. I get my pop stars screwed up. She started off as a choreographer and started singing because she wanted to be, and she figured she was as good as anybody else out there. Turns out she was right. She's made millions. But this choreographer, oh man, do they ever need an attitude adjustment? So he needs to take them aside and sit them in the bleachers while that crap goes on. And I'm sure it looked good in their head. And I would say that the old fogies down at the NFL had no idea what the choreographer was talking about. Just said, it's for the Super Bowl, it's for the Super Bowl. But again, what do you think? Was this a good Super Bowl or a bad Super Bowl? I think, well, outside the game, just a halftime show. It was a great Super Bowl for me because I had the Eagles. And I have witnesses that I picked the Eagles. So I didn't put money on them because I'm not into betting on sports games. Truth be told, I was in a league in 2017. And it was annoying after about like week 10. You have to have your picks on this date. You have to do this, that, the other thing. I came third in the league or something, but I was just looking at offensive lines and defenses and running backs. That was really all I was doing. And other people have their own magic formulas. But you get through all that, and you're burnt out by the end. I didn't mean to look at prop bets. I did see one, and it was like, will Patrick Mahomes have more than 227 yards passing? Not anything I care, because ones like that, that's why they're prop bets. Now, there was a clear villain in this Super Bowl. And do you know who it was? Not Mr. Kendrick Lamar. Again, his singing is not what I prefer, but he's an artist. He's making lots of money doing what he's doing. And I say thumbs up, good for you. But the real villain in this was Travis Kelce. Yes, the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Why? Am I mad because he didn't catch enough touchdowns? Hell no. I was rooting for the Eagles. Was his quarterback upset with him because, he wasn't getting the separation, he wasn't doing the blocking, whatever? Nope, that's not why he's a villain. He's playing a game, stuff happens, I wouldn't blame him. Everybody has an off day. Everybody in real life has a bad day. So I'm willing to waive all that. But it slipped out he was going to propose to Taylor Swift if they won the game. Now, this added some unnecessary drama, but imagine your significant other, whoever they might be. You promise them you're going to propose to them, not marry, although I imagine marry is the intent of a proposal. I don't know about the rich and the famous, though. But can you imagine you're playing a game of chess? You're playing a game of magic. You're playing whatever you happen to like to play. PUBG, don't care. And you tell the person that you're interested in, I'm purposely trying to keep it wide berth because there's so many types of relationships. I don't want to judge or prefer anybody. I'm trying to keep it wide. But you tell them if you win this game, you're going to propose to them. You're 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 setting yourself up no matter what happens. God forbid, like in this case, you lose. Well, you probably still bought a ring. It's hard to propose without one, and while Travis Kelsey may be really rich, it's hard to get a decent engagement ring. And I'm not expecting Travis Kelsey to spend, what is it, 6 months of his salary on a ring? That thing, are you kidding? You could throw that at cars and watch the windows smash. No, just something reasonable. I mean, Taylor Swift, he's worth millions. Taylor Swift is worth billions. I keep joking that at least we know he's not marrying her for her money. But what an awful situation to find yourself in. And that is where he's at. Where do you go from there? Is this they're signaling that this is why they're breaking up? Who knows? But this is just fluff added into the Super Bowl. I'm sure that was a prop bet had I actually bothered to look at them. It would have been nice to see the odds because a lot of people were thinking Kansas City was going to win again, including Travis Kelsey, which is good. You want your own team to win. That's a good sportsman. But a Super Bowl is a hell of a thing to bet a marriage on. And what kind of conversations are they having today, if any? Remember, her songs, her reputation, even Family Guy has made fun of it, about how she needs breakup in order to keep creating. And I think this might actually be a boost to her career. I hope not. In all honesty, in my heart, I hope if they decide to get married, they have a happy life together. And yeah, I do not wish harm on anybody. That's been one consistent on the Silverlight show since the very beginning. We're here to document. We're here to judge sometimes, condemn on occasion, but overall, we try to make sure that everything we document, everything we condemn, there's a reason behind it. Because the world is negative enough. And having to go through all this Super Bowl crap, let's wrap it up for next year and go Lions. Because that's who my heart really belongs to. Then the Dolphins, the Eagles fit in somewhere there. And I don't hate Kansas City either. But we all have our favorite teams. I hope yours does well next year, unless you're the Buffalo Bills. Although, I do like Josh Allen as a player very much. So it's weird. I wish him success. Still hate the team, but wish him success. With that, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show, the special Super Bowl halftime edition in honor of Gary Bell. Well, we're going to be here next year. Same time, same place, all that sort of thing. Because this has always been our strongest rated show. So, thank you all, and have a fantastic